Good morning and welcome to Giddy Knits episode 81. Today is Monday the 14th of December and as always I'm Helen and I am coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur who is 7 and Jasper who is 4. This is my crafty podcast where I talk about all the crafts and knits and things that I've been working on, mostly knitting, but occasionally a bit of crochet and occasionally the odd other craft thrown in. And what else am I supposed to say? If anyone doesn't know, I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, and welcome. Hello to anyone that is new and checking out the podcast for the first time. I know I've had quite a few new followers as part of Vlogmas. So if you are checking out the podcast as well, then welcome. It is lovely to have you here. And hello to all my regular viewers who watch every week. I appreciate you coming and watching again, as always. Apologies for the fact that there wasn't an episode last week. It was a little bit of a chaotic week. Arthur was at home and Tom's still working from home. So juggling kids and office space was a bit of a challenge, and add Vlogmas on top of that. And a podcast just didn't happen last week, but I'm here this week. So that's all good. Right, what have I got for you this week? I am going to start off with a little bit of an admin-y section as always. I've then got a couple of finished objects to share with you. I've got a work in progress to talk about, and I've got 3 new cast-ons to share as well. And then I'm going to finish up with a little bit of shop news at the end, just talking about my plans for yarn clubs for 2021 and a few other little bits and pieces like that. And I think that is probably going to be it for this episode. My tea is far too hot as always, and then I won't drink it, and by the time I get to the end of recording it'll be cold. Oh well. Right, announcements. So just a reminder that we still have the Giddy Yarns knit along running both in Ravelry and on Instagram. So basically any project that uses at least 50% Giddy Yarns can be entered. It's an ongoing make along. An ongoing make along. So I've been running it all year and I think I'm going to continue to run it next year as well. And it just gets... Every quarter I draw prizes, so the next prize draw will be at the end of December, although I probably won't obviously announce the winners until the beginning of January. But yeah, the next quarter will be the end of December, and we'll carry on going into 2021 because I really like it as kind of a way to give back to anybody out there who has purchased my yarn. I've got these annoying little hanger tags. Let's tuck that one back there so it's not sticking out. There we go. So yeah, that is ongoing. Get your entries over in the Ravelry group. There is a Giddy Yarns make along thread, and if you're entering on Instagram then you can use the hashtag Giddy Yarns FO, I think. All the details will be in the drop down box under the video. And I mentioned already Vlogmas. I am doing Vlogmas. This is my 4th year doing Vlogmas, I think. The first time I did it was in 2017 when Jasper was only just 1 and it was chaos, and we watched some of it the other day because the boys wanted to see themselves when they were younger and it made me cringe. So yeah, don't watch 2017's Vlogmas. Just stick with this one. Maybe last year's as well. But yeah, Vlogmas is ongoing, so you'll have been noticing if you're subscribed to my channel that I've been doing daily videos. I hope you're enjoying them. We've been having lots and lots of fun recording them. Yeah, we've really been enjoying it. So it's a bit more of a family thing, I think, Vlogmas. You know, all the family get involved. I'm trying to persuade Tom to get more involved this year. Talking of Vlogmas, actually, one of the things that Tom and I like to do as part of Vlogmas is we sit down and we do a question and answer kind of video. It's usually really, really fun. So if anyone has any questions that they would like us to answer in the video, we like to make it quite fun. So, I mean, serious and sensible questions, of course, are perfectly acceptable. If there are things you'd like to know, obviously within reason, then that's great. Silly questions are also really, really welcome. I can't remember. Somebody asked a question last year, something like, if you had to sellotape an animal to a lamppost, what animal would you choose? Or something like that. What's the biggest animal do you think you could sellotape to a lamppost? So anyway, silly questions are completely acceptable. We will be sitting down later in the month probably with a glass of wine each, and answering your questions and doing a little video of it. It's usually good fun. So yeah, feel free to drop any questions in the comments underneath this video. Right, should we get into some actual knitting, shall we? Finished objects. Now, I shared this one as a finished object last week, but I have since blocked it. So I thought I would share it again, having blocked it. This is the Dance Like No One's Watching cowl. This is a pattern by Lyndsey Tranter, who is Stitch Create Love pretty much everywhere on the internet. Etsy, Instagram, YouTube. Yeah, Etsy, Instagram and YouTube. I adapted it slightly because I was concerned about the amount of yarn that I had. Because again, I've done this slightly differently. So basically what I did is I have held 2 strands of fingering weight yarn double. This yarn was dyed by Arthur, especially for the gift recipient. And yeah, I held 2 strands of yarn together, and I knew that that was going to be a bit risky with the amount of yarn required for the pattern. So I omitted the first section of the pattern just to give myself a little bit less yarn requirement, if that makes sense. But it's worked really, really well, and I'm glad I did it because I had about 4 or 5 grams of yarn left when I cast off. So it was definitely the right decision to make. But doesn't it look lovely? I won't put it on because it's a gift and it's been blocked. But that is all ready and all completed. I just need to wrap it up now and get it on the way to its recipient. And then I also finished the Aegwynn mitts. So these, you'll have seen me knitting if you've been watching the podcast for a little while. These are a free pattern on Ravelry by Laure Marmier, or Marmier. And they're just a really fun little fingerless cabled mitten pattern. It's a ribbed pattern, 2x2 ribbed pattern with a cable panel down the back, and then just a stocking stitch thumb. And they are absolutely lovely. And these are a gift for Jasper's nursery teacher. I probably should sort something out for the school teachers as well, but I really haven't got round to that. But yeah, and there's the second one as well. And the yarn I used for these was one of my Nostalgia Club colourways. This was the 1980s Nostalgia Club colourway, which was Shell Suits. So I'm glad to have got that finished. I have also finished the Advent Garland that I was working on, the stars I was making out of my Spectrum Fibres Advent Calendar from last year, so the 2019 Spectrum Fibres Advent Calendar. I don't physically have it to show you because it's really, really long and really difficult to show, but what I have done is I've taken a little video of it on the Christmas tree, because we've already put it on the Christmas tree. I think it will look better on the Christmas tree next year because we'll be able to put it on first, whereas obviously this year we've actually kind of added it and it was a little bit fiddly and we did it late last night, so it's not perfect. But I will pop a little video in now. So I'm really happy with it. I'm really glad that we did it. I'm really glad that I made it. I think it's such a good use of the leftovers. I've still got enough leftovers easily to make a pair of scrappy socks. So I think at some point next year I might try and do that as well. Right, works in progress then. I am working on one work in progress. So one thing that you've seen before, and this is my dad's Christmas present. Now I'm assuming that my dad isn't watching the podcast. I know that they have been watching the vlogs, so I haven't shared it on the vlogs. But if you are watching the podcast, Dad, don't go away. Goodbye. So this is my dad's cowl. It is coming along really nicely. I'm loving how this yarn is knitting up. This again was yarn that Arthur dyed. With a little bit of support, we basically discussed the colours that he wanted to use. I weighed the colours out and put them all in little pots for him. And then he just shook the little pots into the pan. And then we heated it to set it. So I love how this one's come out. It's brilliant. I mean, obviously on a different circumference, it might do something completely different, but it's perfect. Absolutely perfect for this cowl. It's worked so nicely. So I'm not really following a pattern. It's a bit of a mix between the Sockhead cowl and the Land of Sweets cowl. Yeah, a little bit of a mix, but basically I just wanted a simple stocking stitch loop cowl, which will kind of gather up around his neck. He wanted it quite snug, so I'm hoping that I've got that right. I'm going to give it a good block to add a little bit of extra room in there, but I can't decide when to stop really. I must be getting near the point of finishing this. I must be. I don't want it as long as a Land of Sweets cowl. Maybe I'll have a look at the Sockhead cowl pattern actually, and I will see how long that goes before the ribs added, and I'll go with that. That's a good idea. But yeah, it's coming along. And there's the yarn all caked up. Sorry if the lighting isn't great today. It's actually really, really dark outside. I've got my studio light set up, which definitely helps, but it is a bit grey over to the right. The window is just there, but there's not a lot of sunlight coming in. So yeah, that is another good work in progress. I really want to get this finished as soon as possible. I'm hoping to get this finished kind of this week because it needs to go in the post. So hopefully I'll get that done. Right, and then I've got some new cast-ons to share, and they are all Advent related. And now I'm just going to sit here and drink my tea. It's just the right temperature now. Don't you love that when you pick up a cup of tea and it's the right temperature, and yeah, it's just perfect. Right, okay, new cast-ons. Yes, let's start with this one here. Living in a lovely little bag from Gem of the Little Grey Girl. It's kind of a wintry bag with my little knitting sheep. And in here is one of my Advent projects, and these are the Patttern mitts, which are a pattern from, they're all tangled up. They are a pattern from Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. They were part of this year's Knitvent. If you don't know what Knitvent is, it's worth having a little look on Ravelry or something like that. Every year around November, Helen Stewart releases a series of patterns, kind of a collection of patterns, and they're released every so often throughout November, I think. Is it just November? Or October as well, in the lead up to Advent. And the idea is that they're great things that you could knit as gifts. There's always an Advent related pattern in there, or two Advent related patterns this year, and it's a great collection. It's a really fun kind of, yeah, really fun little collection of patterns. So this was one of the patterns included this year, and these are the Patttern mitts, and basically they are fingerless mittens, but they don't have a thumb, so this is kind of where the thumb will be. So they're just like arm warmers, but also fingerless mittens. Yeah, that's what they are. And I am knitting these, if I can get the cable out of the way, I am knitting these with the yarns from my Advent swap that I did as part of the Lay Family and Yarn swap. It's absolutely perfect pattern for that. Each day only uses 4 rounds and uses a very little amount of yarn. So I'm adding that in. Well, I'm trying to add that in each day, but I am a little bit behind, as you can see. I've added in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 colours on this one and 8 colours on this one. So I am definitely a little bit behind, but I am doing them 2 at a time, or concurrently. So that's going to help because, yeah, and it doesn't take long. I can probably catch up just in one evening. It's a really fun pattern. It's a little bit fiddly, or I'm finding it a little bit fiddly, I think, just because there's twisted stitches going over, because I'm knitting the magic loop, and there's twisted stitches going over the break of the magic loop. And I think I'm finding that that's giving me more of a ladder than I would get. Normally I don't get a ladder. Normally I don't get a ladder between my stitches. But you can kind of see that this section here, again, cable in the way. You can kind of see that this bit here, which is the join, is definitely wider than the other sections of the rib. And this first twisted stitch is a little bit wonky. I'm sure they'll be fine when they're worn and they're blocked, but I am finding that having that twisted stitch as the first stitch is just affecting my tension as I go over the join somehow. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why, but it is. But yes, I mean, actually, I've got some, I've not got 2 pairs. I've got 1 pair of little circulars, little mini circulars, so I could actually switch to those. I might even have, what am I on, 3.5mm. I'm not sure if I've got 3.5mm. I could switch to those though, and that might resolve it, but I'll probably just stick with this. It's not a big issue. And then I've got a few more minis to add in over the next few days. This is the next colour I need to add in for number 9, which is a gorgeous grey with little neps, coloured neps. Does anybody else struggle with tweed yarn and struggle with having to resist the temptation to pick out the neps? Is that just me? I just want to pick them out because I don't know. Because I'm weird and neps make me uncomfortable. Well, I don't think they make me uncomfortable. They just make me think it's a little bit of fluff and I just want to pick the little bits of fluff out. But then I've also got these ones to add in. I've got this lovely little grey with black speckles. I've got this green and kind of autumnal coloured one. And I've got this one here as well. This will be interesting because I think this is almost like a self-striping. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens, seeing as I've only got 4 rows to do. I might only get 1 colour out. But then the leftovers from this project, I am, excuse the rustling, here we go. What I am doing with the leftovers from this project is I am adding them all onto this magic knot ball. Because, I mean, it's 5 gram minis. So by the time I've added them in here, I've probably only got kind of 3 grams left, something like that. So then I'm adding them onto this magic knot ball, and then this will be a magic knot ball that goes into my mild mayhem blanket. So that's quite nice. Right, so that is the heart and mitts. What else have I been working on? I have also been doing the, oh, I've forgotten to put the pattern in. I've also been doing the Advent Gnome, the Adventure Gnome from Sarah at Imagine Landscapes. And yeah, you'll all know how much I love the gnomes. Look, all the previous ones are all sat up there waiting for their new friends to join them. But yeah, I'm not up to date. So there was a clue released yesterday, I think, which I haven't started yet. So I'm trying to dig out all the pieces, which I haven't started yet. So I am definitely not up to date. But this is where we are so far. I have a beard, which was the first clue. I'm trying to get it the right way around so I can show you. Now, I didn't leave my beard to go crinkly. I unpicked my beard, so we've got a wiggly beard. So that's going to be interesting to see. Some people, because the way it works, you were able to make your beard really, really curly if you kind of blocked it before you unpicked it. Whereas I unpicked it before I blocked it. So I might make another one because the curly beard does look really, really fun. But I'm going to see how it goes and how the gnome progresses. And it's a really quick and easy thing to do. So I'll make that decision at the end when we come to assembling. I also have a hat, a little hat with this fun little bauble on the end. It's very cute. But also got a lovely little snowman progress keeper on there. And I have some things. I have this thing here. And even more confusingly, I have this thing here. This was a rather large amount of I-cord. And I have no idea what it's going to be. But yeah, we have like a snake. So interesting to see where these are going, definitely. I'm suspecting that this might be an arm. Maybe. I'm not sure. She usually gets us to do both arms at the same time, but then she did say the clues are going to be small. So maybe she's got us to do one arm and then later in the month we'll do the other arm. I don't know. But it's really good fun, and every clue is, so we get a clue one day and a little extra the next day, and it's either part of a story, or we've had a recipe, or we've had some little little charts, which could be colourwork charts or cross-stitch charts. I'm actually quite tempted to get Arthur's hammer beads out at some point and make them with the hammer beads. But yeah, it's really fun and it's coming along really well. I'm using a few different colours. So at the moment, the hat, as you'll have seen, was in these two colours. Now, I'm not 100% sure where these colours were from, so I can't say which ones these were. I think this might have been a Lolo Did It, and I think this might have been the leftovers from a Nora George, but I'm not 100% sure that I'm getting that right. And then my colour 3 is this colour here. This is my colourway. This is Plum Chutney. And then colour 4 is this one here. This is, I think this is Silent Disco. Possibly. Or it might be the Darkest Grey from Gradient Party. I'm not 100% sure. It's one of mine. So yeah, my Advent Gnome is in pieces, but it's coming along slowly and it's very interesting and very fun. I have popped an Advent Gnome chatter thread up in the Ravelry group. So if you are joining in and you'd like to come and share your progress over there, I appreciate that this is a really, really, really busy month and not everybody's keeping up with progress and things like that. So there is no pressure. There's no prizes or anything. It's literally just, you know, if anybody wants to share and chatter about gnomes. Right. What's next? Oh, my other Advent project. So I have 2 Advent projects planned, one of which is in progress and one of which I talked about on the last episode. But I have decided to wait until Christmas to actually cast it on. So the one that I'm going to wait for is the Cupid's Arrow wrap, which is a new pattern by Ellie of Craft House Magic. And I'm going to be using my Spectrum Fibres Advent calendar for that one. And the reason I'm waiting is because Bryony of Spectrum Fibres did say on Instagram the other day that the Advent calendar can be arranged at the end of the month. It can be arranged into kind of a bright rainbow. And I think that's how I would rather have the wrap go, rather than having the kind of contrasting way that it's laid out in the Advent calendar. So that's the plan, basically. So that's quite nice, actually, because it's really taken the pressure off and I've got no need at all to knit it or start it or cast it on during kind of in the lead up to Christmas. But it's waiting for me kind of after Christmas when things have calmed down a little bit and I can actually have a little bit of time to sit down and cast it on. So that's really, really fun. But the other Advent project that I am working on is my Advent blanket. And for this, I am using the yarns that I got from the Henny Penny Makes Advent calendar. Erin and I did a swap. So she had one of my Advent calendars and I had one of hers. And this is where I'm at so far. So what I am doing is I am alternating. So row 1 is colours 1 and 2. Row 1 is colours 1 and 2. Row 2 is colours 3 and 4. Although I do have to admit that I put these ones in the wrong way round. But in the grand scheme of the blanket, I don't think it's going to matter. And then row 3 is colours 5 and 6. And I'm just alternating the colours throughout the row. And then adding each row on. So it should be quite a nice blanket. I mean, it's just wider than the screen, as you can see there. So it's going to make a really nice kind of lap blanket, a good sized lap blanket. All I am doing is 5 rounds of granny square and I'm bordering it and then I'm kind of joining it as I go. Just so that I don't have to assemble it all at the end of the month and I get the fun of seeing it grow. And I managed to get 4 squares out of each 20-gram mini. Which is perfect because that's kind of what I was hoping I would get for the size of the blanket. So it is coming along nicely. So I'm currently working on colours 5 and 6 and getting those crocheted up and added into the blanket. And then I'll move on to the other colours. A frog in my throat. And again, what I'm doing with the leftovers is putting them into a magic knot ball. So that will then become part of my Mild Mayhem blanket as well. Although I've got less leftovers from this than I have from the other project. Right. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's going to be a really fun blanket. And the way the colours have progressed, which I can't really get them all out and show you without making lots of noise because I've kept them all in their little bag so that I know which numbers they are. But you will see as the blanket progresses, you'll get to see the colours. Or if you've been watching the Vlogmas, then you'll be seeing the colours as I open them each day. Right, okay, I think that's all the knitting stuff I was going to talk about, but I did want to talk a little bit about shop news. I had a few things to mention, so let's start with Christmas closing. I have decided we're not going down to Cornwall for Christmas this year. We're not going to visit family. We are staying up here on our own, mostly because we're in a tier 3 area in Scotland, which means it's actually illegal for us to leave our council area. And Dundee City is not a big council area. So we aren't allowed to leave our council area until the restrictions relax. The restrictions will be relaxing from the 23rd and 4th, 25th, 23rd to the 27th, so over 5 days. My boys are still at school on the 23rd, and to get to Cornwall from here is 2 days travelling, and to get back from Cornwall is 2 days travelling. So we would basically be travelling for 2 days to spend a day with our family, to then travel home again for 2 days. And it not only did it seem completely unfair to the kids to put them through all of that travelling just for such a short period of time, it also seemed like such a waste. Not to mention, of course, the fact that it's still a risk because the virus has not gone anywhere. Yeah, it's definitely not. We're still getting classes and schools off and people isolating and all of that kind of thing around this area. So we thought we're just going to be safer and do Christmas ourselves. It's our first time doing Christmas without any family involved. It's going to be quite odd, but at the same time, I'm quite looking forward to finding our own traditions and things like that. Anyway, that wasn't anything about the shop, was it? Christmas closing. So I have decided that I will be closing the shop. Well, I will be closing shipping from Friday the 18th. So from Saturday the 19th. Have I got those? Yeah, it must be. I've got confused. Is it Friday? Is it Friday the 18th? Anyway, on Friday, I will be closing the shipping for the shop. The shop will remain open, so you will still be able to make purchases, but they won't ship until the 28th of December. I just need some proper time off for once. I need to not worry about shipping. I need to just take the time off. And with Royal Mail having so many issues at the moment, delivery times are so slow. I don't really want people ordering over that weekend and expecting it to get them to get to them for Christmas and it not reaching them, and all of that stress in the lead up to Christmas for everyone involved is not good. So I will be shutting the shop, shutting the shipping. As I said, the shop will remain open, but there'll be a notice on it to say that nothing will ship until the 28th of December. Yeah, so it'll remain open this week, and then I'll do my last post run on Saturday morning, and then that will be it until after Christmas. So that's that one. What else? I will be having, though, my big end of year sale. So from the 26th of December until the 31st of December, I will be having a big sale in my shop. I run it every year, and you will automatically get 15% off anything that you purchase in the shop during that time. And I will be shipping from the 28th. I'll be shipping as usual, so it will come out. So if you get any Christmas pennies and you fancy spending them, then that will be happening. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is clubs for 2021, and what am I planning? Right, I am going to be running 2 clubs in 2021. The first club is going to be a 10-month club rather than a 12-month club, mostly because I couldn't think of 12 things. No, I'm going to be running it as a 10-month club for a few reasons. Partly because I only chose 10 things as part of the club, and partly because interest in clubs often wanes towards the end of a year, and I'd like to give myself a little bit more time in November and December next year to be able to focus on kind of Christmas things and stuff like that. So it will be running from January until October, so just the 10 months. But it's going to be called the Once Upon a Yarn Club, and I'm going to be taking inspiration from Grimm's Fairy Tales. So I have picked 10 Grimm's Fairy Tales, and each month one of those will be the inspiration for a colourway. And the way it's going to work is that you're going to be able to choose your base. So similarly to how the Nostalgia Club worked, you've got a base option that you can choose. I'm also thinking I need to work out sock sets, whether I offer a sock set or whether I only offer it on one base. I Haven't quite worked that out yet, but I need to have a little think about that. So yeah, you'll be able to pick your base and everything like that. I will give you an idea each month as to what the story is that the inspiration is going to be from, but there won't be any mood boards or anything like that. It will literally be a case of trusting me, as the Nostalgia Club was, and yeah, but we will be doing everything from my mind's gone blank. How can I have forgotten all of the Grimm's fairy tales that we're doing? Yeah, we're doing Grimm's fairy tales, all the Grimm's fairy tales that you will have heard of throughout the year, well, up until October. I'm quite excited about it. I'm really looking forward to it. I like the idea of taking the inspiration from the original stories, from like the proper Grimm's fairy tales, rather than a lot of the Disney versions. So I think it's going to be good fun. I just need to finalise the last few details. All the clubs will be going live on the 1st of January. Yeah. And then the other club that I am running is going to be my Marvellous Monthly Minis. And that is going to be based off mood boards each month. So each month you'll see a mood board, which I'll post on Instagram. It will also probably be the image for the website as well. And each month you'll get a set of minis, which will be inspired by kind of the month, if that makes sense. So I'll pop the mood boards up as I'm talking about it, actually. So you'll see January is up. So January is kind of inspired by winter ice and kind of cold and frost and snow and that kind of thing. And as you can see from the mood board, I give you like an idea of the colours that might be involved in that month. And then the plan is that each month will kind of go with the next month. So as you can see, February's board is kind of inspired by romance and love, and we're thinking kind of Valentine's Day and that kind of thing. But some of the colours that are there on the board somehow, I don't know why I'm pointing because I can't see anything and I'm probably going to be pointing in completely the wrong place. But some of the colours there will go with the colours from the previous month, and the same with March. Going into March, we're looking at kind of a lot more spring colours. You know, we're looking at March hare, flowers, springy stuff. I've completely forgotten what's on the mood board, which is why I'm not really telling you. But again, there are colour links that link you back to the previous month. So I'm going to be offering them as what I'm calling they're going to be sock boxes or blanket boxes. So with a sock box, you would get either 5 10-gram minis and then a 20-gram contrast, or 5 20-gram minis and a 20-gram contrast, so that you could make scrappy socks. And then the blanket boxes, you'll get either 5 10-gram minis or 5 20-gram minis. And I'm also contemplating offering DK minis as well. With the blanket box. So the idea is that if you went with the blanket box, then you would actually have a blanket that if you put them all together in order, then by the end of the year, or by the time you finish the project, because who's actually going to finish it in the year? I certainly wouldn't. By the time you finish the project, the colours should all work together and give you a really nice cohesive blanket. That's the plan anyway. Yeah. There we go. And with the mini club, I am going to offer the option. I just need to work out the logistics of it on the computer, on the website. But I will offer the option so that you can actually purchase 3 months in advance. So you would, at the beginning of January, the option will be there to purchase either just January or purchase January, February and March. And then in February, you'll have the option to just purchase February. And in March, you'll have the option to just purchase March. But then in April again, you'll have the option to purchase April or April, May and June. Just to spread it out a little bit, but also keep it available for those people that like to just dip in and out of yarn clubs. There we go. I think that's everything. I think that's the yarn clubs. I'm quite excited about them, but as always with releasing anything in the way of new yarn clubs, it's really nerve-wracking because I don't know how well it's going to be received. And I don't know what you all think and if you like the idea or anything like that. And at the moment, of course, it's all in my head. I haven't actually been able to dye anything up for it. So, yeah, a little bit nerve-wracking, but I really hope that you're as excited about it as me. Anyway, I am going to leave you all now. I am going to go. I need to get this month's Nostalgia Club started, and I need to go and finalise the colourways for that. I haven't recorded anything for Vlogmas yet today, so I need to go and do that as well. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Bye.